Good evening. Today is Monday, February 24th, 2025. This is your update for Tuesday, 25th. All right, let's go. Well, as far as official setups, let's stick with these two. The OPFI, we'll take a look at it in just one second. A little bit too deep in the pullback. Obviously, wait for entries. This market has gone back to ugly yet again. Speaking of ugly, KGS obviously not doing so well in here. On your stop, just in case on that. Here's the OPFI, just a little bit too much pullback for my taste. Now, sometimes, obviously, with these crazy stocks that go straight up, high HV, you will get a big bounce off of a retrace like this. But I'd prefer to just kind of stick more to the core methodology as far as the depth of the pullback is concerned. As far as official setups, I still like this ALLT. I know it's quite a deep pullback there, but definitely wait for an entry on that one. Any additional weakness, obviously, would be of concern. And KGS and gold, KGC, I'm sorry, and gold looks like it has potential. This BBAI keeps catching my eye. It's just really, really, really extreme. Speaking of deep pullbacks, right? Talking out both sides of my mouth. But this one, it's had such an amazing run higher. You would expect a deep pullback like that. But HV's 185, just a little bit too crazy even for him. Big Dave. Let's take a look at the overall market, and it's kind of we're back to the ugly column. As I would say, quite a bit. When you have a down day after hitting new highs, it begins to look ugly, and a lot of areas are looking ugly. S&P, not the end of the world, down about 0.5%. Let's get the moving averages. This actually puts it back below the 50 simple moving average, and obviously below all the bow tie moving averages. Not the end of the world. Again, as I preach, a few big up days, or even just one big up day, would make things look a lot better, but you have to take things one day at a time. I know. Stop me if you heard that before. NASDAQ Composite, a little bit more of a bummer. It's breaking down fairly seriously, down 1% in almost a quarter today. You can see it just couldn't get past these prior peaks in here. So that's a bit of a bummer. Not the end of the world just yet. And one thing, is not that you want to hang or hang your hat on this or get excited about this, but I am noticing a lot of bears are coming out of the woodwork. So that's a good sign. I like to see everybody get super bearish and then have the market just fake everybody out. But believe in what you see and not in what you believe. And each day, if we keep staying weak like this as a trend follower, then we'll have to become very concerned. Take a look at the Rusty. And the other thing, too, is we do have a bunch of positions on. We have been waiting for entries, and this is what happens. You just kind of take a little stab. You might get burnt, like the KGS might not work out, obviously. And then you go back to sitting on your hands for a while if your setups don't trigger, obviously. Anyway, Rusty 2000 getting hit fairly hard, down about 0.75%. This is actually starting to look fairly ugly again. Major topping formation, but just kind of wide loose. Obviously, all over the place. As you go through some of these areas that have been doing well, such as gaming, have pulled all the way back into their breakout level. So that obviously is concerned. Cyber computing, none of those areas looking pretty darn good. It looks okay longer term, but we have pulled back below the prior breakout, and that's been one of my big concerns. Take a look at internet, for instance. You can see broke out to all-time highs and came back in. By the way, as I often preach, double tops will often either undershoot or overshoot the prior peak. When they overshoot like this, it sort of fakes everybody out, makes everybody think that this is the all clear. And this is why I'm always a big fan of markets really clearing the prior peaks decisively. Bitcoin stuck in a range. It's weak too, so it's a bummer. It's like I was always hoping that Bitcoin would be a place where you could park money when the market wasn't doing well. But right now, it's just stuck consolidating. Cash fails to break that 100K lately, as of late, I should say. Gold and commodity, brand new high, so that's sort of interesting there. Gold stocks looking okay, and that's why we have a gold stock on the list tonight. Broker dealer in those areas that, again, broke out, made a little bit higher top, but then came right back in. Software tried to rally back up to old highs, and then it died out. As you can see, take a look at medical devices, one of the few areas hanging in there at these, or just below these brand new highs, I should say. Defense, stalled at prior highs, rolled back over. So it is beginning to look a little ugly, and I could see where some people would become pretty bearish, and we might be there fairly soon. But let's just let things shake out a little bit longer and see what happens before getting too bearish. But MAG's beginning to break down a little bit. Let's take a look at NVIDIA within the MAGs. You can see selling off fairly hard today. We closed the gap, but unfortunately now we're rolling back over. Kind of like the semiconductors themselves. You can see they closes the gap for most part, for all intents and purposes, and then they rolled back over. They got whacked pretty hard, about over 2.5% today. Some areas like home builders banging out new lows, remaining in downtrends. Some areas like healthcare continue to try to bottom out. So there are a few little areas trying to bottom out. Healthcare, major drugs would be another one trying to bottom out in here, and foods have been bottoming out also. I wouldn't get too excited about those areas. Those could sort of be seen as defensive areas that could rally even though the market becomes questionable. So, yeah, we're kind of back in that questionable column for now. Let's not get too excited and make a lot of big bets just yet. Let's let the database tell us what to do. If we start seeing a lot of shorts setting up, which we might on an anemic bounce, then we'll maybe put on some shorts. But for now, here comes one day at a time. Everybody have a great night. If you have any questions, you know the routine. Thank you so much.